The phone rang while I was polishing the glass railing. Her name flashed across the screen, Emily, daughter-in-law, with a tone that sounded like the world owed her something. "If you want to join Thanksgiving, come wash the dishes first," she said. No greeting, no warmth, just that sharp, entitled bite. I stared at the phone for a second, then smiled. A quiet, calculated curl of the lips that never reached my eyes. "Enjoy," I said, and hung up. Silence settled back into the villa. The kind of silence you can only buy. Swiss air outside, snow on the balcony railing, the faint hum of the fireplace behind me. I poured another glass of wine, tilted it toward the mountain view, and thought of the irony. They believed I was the broke widow still living in that old suburban house, the one they forced me to leave when my husband died, when the will mysteriously disappeared. They thought they won. But greed is a slow poison. It eats the ones who feed on it. And I've learned how to watch it work. 3 years ago, they locked me out of my own life. Emily and my son Derek said the inheritance was too complicated, that the lawyers needed time. They never gave me the papers. They changed the locks. They sold the furniture I bought, called it downsizing. I remember Emily's smirk as she handed me a single suitcase and said, "Just until things settle." Things never settled. They built their new house, bought new cars, and hosted dinners with my husband's name engraved on wine glasses. Mine erased. When I called, Derek's tone was clipped, distracted. When I visited, Emily answered the door and said, "He's busy, Mother. Try again later." That's when I stopped calling, stopped begging, stopped explaining, and started watching. I moved into a small apartment downtown, cheap, forgettable, but not for long, because when I went through my husband's old safety deposit box, something they forgot to close, I found what they were so desperate to bury. It started with a single envelope, yellowed and cracked at the edges. Inside, a will, his handwriting, his signature. Every asset, every account, every property. All of it mine. I read it again and again, tracing the ink as if my fingers could resurrect him from the paper. But the emotion wasn't grief anymore, it was clarity. They'd forged documents, sold property illegally, siphoned money through renovation accounts. And Derek, my son, had signed off on every deal under her direction. I didn't go to the police, no. I went to the bank, to the Swiss account my husband used before marriage. Emily never knew it existed. And suddenly, I didn't need to fight. I withdrew quietly, legally, through the lawyer my husband trusted before her, transferred funds, invested. Within months, I owned a villa in Switzerland. Not ostentatious, just remote, cold, perfect. Every morning I checked the news. Every night, I watched their smiling faces on social media fade as debts started to appear. Credit cards, unpaid taxes, the foreclosure notices they pretended didn't exist. They thought I'd vanished. But I was watching the clock run out on their empire. Then Thanksgiving came. The call, the command, the insult. "If you want to join, come wash the dishes." They laughed at me once. They won't again. I scrolled through my phone and opened the folder marked Inheritance Proofs. Photos of the villa, documents showing property ownership, bank statements. One perfectly framed image of the will, with my husband's signature highlighted in gold ink. I sent them all to Emily. Every file, every page. Then I turned off my phone and went for a walk along the frozen lake. When I returned, the phone was vibrating violently against the counter. Her name, again and again. 71 missed calls. The messages were frantic. "Where are you? What is this? You tricked us. Please call me back." The calm inside me was surgical, precise, almost holy. I poured another glass of wine and listened to the mountains breathe. I answered on the 72nd ring. Her voice cracked like broken glass. "Why would you do this?" I didn't raise my tone, didn't flinch. "You stole from me," I said. "I just took back what was mine." Derek didn't know. I cut her off. He knew. You made sure of it. Silence. Only her breath trembling through the line. Then she tried to sound pitiful. We're ruined. The house, the cars, they're gone. What are we supposed to do? I looked out the window at the snow falling in delicate spirals. Wash the dishes, I said, and hung up. For a moment I stood there, completely still, listening to the faint echo of my own heartbeat. It didn't feel like revenge. It felt like balance. They never called again, not after that week. The news came later. Derek moved abroad. Emily filed for bankruptcy. Their perfect image evaporated like steam off cold glass. I didn't celebrate. I didn't grieve. I just existed, quietly, deliberately, among the snow and silence. Sometimes I scroll back to that first call. Her voice still rings in my head. Come wash the dishes. And I think, people mistake kindness for weakness. They mistake silence for surrender. But silence is strategy. And patience? Patience is power. I pour another glass, set it down untouched, and watch the night fold itself around the villa. No noise, no apologies. Just truth. The 71st call still sits unanswered. And that's enough.